Welcome back to Creative Excuses, where I am still doing my best to be creative for you guys. We're back with another build video, this time for brand new content, the Endless Archive. This build may be one of the most powerful options you can make for some runs through the archive, and I can't wait to show you why. This is the maximum effort Warden for soloing or DPSing in the Endless Archive. Let's jump into it. The Endless Archive presents a few old problems and a few new problems to solve for a solo build. The old problems are the normal ones. How do you deal enough damage, and how do you stay alive? These are easy enough to answer on a 1-bar Warden like this if you've seen my other Warden videos. Strategic Reserve, Leeching Vines, and Arctic Blast provide a crap load of healing potential on the build, enough to solo even some veteran DLC dungeons. For damage, we could do something like a heavy attack build with loads of penetration and all that. We could do a normal spammable plus shulks plus dots build, or something else. These are problems that are easily solved in a way that could get us through vet DLC dungeons, through trifectas and decent scores in Vatashran Hollows, etc., right? Solving these problems normally will also get you through the first few arcs of the archive without much issue at all, assuming you know or can figure out the boss mechanics. These are not much of a new problem, and any standard solo Warden build could do pretty well in the Endless Archive, if all we're thinking about is these old problems. So what are the new problems, and why do they change everything? The new problems come in the form of visions, these archive long buffs that can dramatically change how your build performs. They can come in many forms, like increased crit chance or crit damage for physical or magical damage types. They can provide you with new effects, like spawning your own rings of fire that deal massive AoE damage. They can give you damage mitigation, increased healing potential, and just so many things. Some of these buffs, though, are powerful enough that we should actually prepare builds around them to maximize them when we get them. In some cases, this is going to mean having at least 2 builds prepared for an archive run in order to maximize the effects that you actually get in the run. For today's build, though, we're just going to do one variation, and we are focusing on maximizing one vision in particular. The one that actually looks to be the most powerful if you can stack a few of them together and if you build around it. Focused efforts. This vision is incredible, boosting your status effect damage by 200% with the base version of the vision, and an even bigger boost to either chance or damage once you have the purchasable upgrade to vision powers from this achievement. This is incredibly powerful, offering the highest percentage boost I have seen in the archive by miles, especially when considering that burning and hemorrhaging, the 2 most powerful status effects, already hit as hard as a 20-second damage over time skill on their own, and with the right setup, they can be procced much more often than a normal damage over time skill. The damage potential from these status effects and this vision is insane. But Wardens have another advantage with focused efforts. Wardens have increased chilled damage from our Piercing Cold passive. On a normal Warden build, chilled is actually going to make up a decent percentage of damage because of this passive. But with focused efforts on, that damage potential from chilled skyrockets. So, how do we build around this vision? Obviously, we want to maximize our status effect chance, so we're going to use a charged weapon. But how else? We're actually going to pull out an old trick from the first version of this character that got me my first ever trifecta in Vatashran Hollows. Heartland Conqueror. This beautiful set boosts the effectiveness of your weapon trait by 100%, which doubles our charge trait from 365% to 730%. For reference, that coupled with the Destruction Staff and the Champion Point passive makes our status effect chance increase 860%. Add in the additional chance for chilled from our Warden passives on our ice skills, and we are looking at 1060% increased chance for chilled on Winter's Revenge, Arctic Blast, and Northern Storm or Permafrost. Oh, and those skills all have an undisclosed increased chance to proc chilled as well, which just makes them insanely powerful. But that's just 3 skills on the build. It's a metric crap load of chilled damage, of course, But what else can we do to pump this focused efforts vision from good to godlike? With Force Pulse as our spammable, of course. With that 860% increased chance of proccing a status effect, Force Pulse has like a 90% chance of proccing chilled, burning, and concussed every single time you use it. Without focused efforts, that already makes it an incredible spammable on the Warden. With it, it makes it beyond strong. On this run you see in the background, I had 3 focused efforts visions that resulted in burning and chilled, both hitting for around 10 to 15k on average. That means one Force Pulse was hitting for around like 35k damage, maybe more. That is a very big chunk of damage, of course, but it can get even better. But before we talk about it getting better, we have another problem to bring up. The Endless Archive is structured so that you have 2 stages of 3 trash packs and then a boss fight. Then rinse and repeat 5 times per arc. This means that for every boss you fight, you are fighting 6 trash packs that increase in difficulty actually faster than the bosses do. In general then, you're gonna need a lot, and I mean a lot, of area of effect damage. So far, we have a good bit of area of effect damage from Arctic Blast and Winter's Revenge, giving us insane AoE chilled damage, of course. And Force Pulse can hit 3 targets as well, so we have a decent bit of AoE damage. But it's not enough, not really. We don't have a true AoE spammable. We need more damage, especially because of the way the enemy's health scales. By Arc 5, enemies all have between like 300 to 700k health, and it only gets worse from there. Our status effects deal a lot of damage and scale really well to health pools like that, but if we want to clear these trash packs quickly, we're going to need something that allows us to apply more than just chilled in area of effect very quickly. There are a few sets that can do something like this, but the one that I settled on, for a number of reasons, is something I've never seen anyone really recommend. Ice Furnace, the heavy set from Dire Frost Keep. This set deals area of effect damage once a second every time you deal frost damage. Because of the way the timings work out, for some reason the set only procs once every 2 seconds or so if you use only one skill to proc it. But for us with an Ice Staff, Force Pulse, Winter's Revenge, Arctic Blast, and lots of chilled, we're going to be proccing the Frostfire effect on cooldown all the time. It's great. Here's the thing though. This set is not actually being used for its own AoE damage. Its damage is okay, and does an okay job in trash packs on its own, but what we're really using it for is for its chance to proc burning in an area of effect. See, Frostfire, the effect from Ice Furnace, is an area of effect direct damage attack. That means it has a base 5% chance to proc burning on any target it hits. Add in our 860% increased chance, and we are looking at a roughly 40 to 50% chance to proc burning on every target it hits. If we have focused efforts up, like I did in this run, that means we have a 40 to 50% chance to hit every target around with a 10 to 15k burning proc. That is an incredible amount of AoE damage, and it really does make this build work for the trash packs. It also hits plenty hard on bosses because it can give you an extra burning proc every single time it procs. The end result should actually be that you have more burning ticks than you have seconds in a boss fight. It is an incredible setup, assuming again that you have focused efforts stacked up. Now, honestly, there is so much more going on in this build, especially regarding how I've built it out defensively and for sustain, but I think the damage setup that we've talked about, Heartland Conqueror with the charged staff and Ice Furnace, is the most interesting part for now. So if you like this video, let me know if you want to see a part 2 to this build going over the defensive aspects and how it is specifically adapted to the Endless Archive, and how I want to adapt it to go even further in the archive. Subscribe if you want to see more Endless Archive builds like this one, and until then, I'll see you all in the next excuse.